All right, so last night on The Walking Dead World Beyond, we learned where Rick was. Or is maybe even. I mean, it's been a long time since Rick left the show in terms of timeline wise because he did multiple time jumps, but we did learn where Rick is. The last scene of The World Beyond gave us a good look at the CRM and what's been going on there, or like, their headquarters or their community. We saw their living conditions, all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. Now, this obviously isn't like 100% confirmed or anything like that. AMC didn't say anything like that. The World Beyond didn't directly mention Rick, but the context around the scene, if you saw the community outside her window and also listened to what she said, it does give us a pretty good hint or a pretty good possibility that Rick was there. So I'm very excited to talk about this and break it down. Before I get into it though, spoiler warning in case you are not caught up with The World Beyond or The Walking Dead in general. Also, if you are a fan of The Walking Dead, be sure to subscribe for more Walking Dead content like this. But other than that, let's get into it. So we saw this guy who, back in episode 1, when Elizabeth killed off the entire campus, he seemed like he was bothered about it. It was pretty clear from his face. And he came and visited Elizabeth in this episode to talk about it. And we learned that Elizabeth killed off the campus because she was worried the campus would fight back or something like that, because we saw that Iris and Hope were suspicious. So I guess she was worried or something like that. The entire campus would be suspicious of them. But with that being said, that was a bit of an exaggeration because there was like 9,000 people there. So that kind of makes us think okay, these people aren't good people at all for doing that. But anyway, so he comes in and starts talking to her. And Elizabeth, this gives us a really good look of this community, the CRM community. And for a second, when she started turning on everything, she turns on the fan and the radio. There's like a coffee maker. There is a television. There's everything. This is like a regular house, right? So when she started turning on everything, for a second, I thought she was gonna kill him. But she was just sort of flexing on everybody and saying look at everything that I have. So I mean, it's insane what they have. Come on, they have a coffee maker in a zombie apocalypse. They have a television. Look at this, they have bullets with the CRM logo on them. They have jackets. Everything they have is CRM. It's pretty insane. So the hint where Rick is at comes in when she calls in her guards to take away Barca. I believe that's his name. And she tells the guards to take him to the CRM Health and Welfare Center. So when she said that, Rick kind of jumped out at me because we put 2 and 2 together. Health and Welfare Center and Rick Grimes, who was injured. Rick Grimes would most likely go to the Health and Welfare Center. Now, yes, the CRM could have other, other health and welfare centers, but she also mentioned that this place they have 200,000 people. That is insane. That's almost 250,000 people, 10 years into the apocalypse. And you can see outside, you can see all the buildings, and it's basically like a civilization out there. So that kind of makes me think of how big this community is outside her window. I think she was referring to 200,000 people actually living there. And that makes me again think that Rick came over here to the Health and Welfare Center. So Barca is having some trauma, so it makes sense for him to go to the Health and Welfare Center. But I'm sure they would also take people who are injured there as well. So I don't know what they're doing, because they definitely make it seem like they're forcing him to go. Because when he goes into the hallway, he's screaming and stuff like that. So I don't know how much more of this Health and Welfare Center we're gonna see, because hopefully we see more of it in what they do there. Because if you think about it, Rick, he's been gone for 7-8 years now on The Walking Dead, and he still isn't back. Obviously, as soon as Rick wakes up, if he remembers his family, which hopefully he does, because that was something people were discussing, that maybe Rick didn't come back because he forgot about his family from his injuries or something like that, which is a total possibility, that is for sure. And then once someone comes visits him, like Michonne, then he would remember her. I mean, that could be a possibility. But I want to see how they run stuff there at the Health and Welfare Center, because if they don't let people leave and they're just making people be prisoners there, then it would definitely make sense why Rick has been gone for so long. And Elizabeth was like basically claiming that what they did was necessary and they had to do it, and what they do is good stuff, and because they're the last light of the life and the last light of the world and all this kind of stuff. So, and Barca obviously didn't agree with that, and he's having a hard time dealing with the situation. So she sent him there, and he didn't want to go because we saw him screaming in the hallway again. So I'm interested to see if what if the same thing happens with Rick, where Rick wants to leave and go home because he doesn't like this community and doesn't like what they do, and then they don't let him leave. They just make him stay there forever or something. So that's something they really have to explain in the movies, which I'm sure they will, because that is like one of the most interesting parts of this is like, how come Rick never came back home? Because it's been so long, like he's been caught up in something. I'm sure he would try his hardest to do everything in his power to get back home if he remembers his family. That could just easily be a way to, have him explain why he didn't come home. He just forgot about his family because of the injury. But I kind of hope they don't do that. I don't know, because if Michonne comes and he kind of remembers Michonne, that would be pretty nice. Like, imagine if he kind of forgot people and then Michonne came and it all kind of came back to him. That would be pretty nice to see. I would agree with that. But I think what they're setting up here, based on them saying this in the health and welfare center and Elizabeth forcing him to go there, I feel like they may be setting up or like giving us a hint of what happened with Rick and why he hasn't come back yet. So when the movie start, I wouldn't be surprised if the movie start here. Like, again, if you look outside, you can see that this isn't even a community, really. We shouldn't call that. It's like a city. I mean, look at the skyscrapers. Like, there's buildings and they have apartments and all that kind of stuff. And she even said that they have currency. So they're just trying to rebuild the world, I think. But what I'm confused about is, if they're so concerned about rebuilding the world, why would she kill 9,000 people just because she's worried they may be suspicious of her? Because obviously what they were doing is suspicious, right? Now, I don't know if this location is New York. I don't think so. I think New York might be, because she said that Hope and Iris's dad are in New York doing experiments or something like that, or working for a cure. So I don't think this is that place. I mean, it could be, but you can't tell for sure because we just saw like the outside of her window. But so the possibility is either Rick is here or Rick is in New York. But I would assume Rick would be here because of the health and welfare center. There's no reason to take Rick to New York unless they want to do experiments on him, which I hope they don't do that. And I don't think they would do that because they're making 3 movies about Rick. So yeah. That being said, like what I would love and I think would be really cool, and honestly I wouldn't be surprised if this happens, is if the movie starts off with Rick at the health and welfare center, just very similar to how The Walking Dead started, season 1, episode 1, with him in the hospital bed, looking just like this, and we have all these people around him, and he wakes up. And maybe he sees Jadis by his bedside or something like that, and she explains everything, because I'm interested to see what Jadis's role is going to be in all this. And she was trading people for food with the CRM, so now I'm kind of thinking that maybe the people she was trading for food were the ones going to New York, right? And the Walking Dead is closer to New York than the world beyond is, I think. So it makes sense why Rick would be like in this halfway point. Like, this might be like, because we have the campus, right? And then we have this place, and then we have New York, which is where they're doing their work, finding a cure. So I think, because this is probably closer to, and I don't think they would want to fly Rick all the way to New York, right? That would take a while, and he's injured. So I think they would want to bring him here and take him to the health and welfare center and, patch him up and help him get better. And then maybe from there, they might want to take him to New York. I don't know, because remember, we still have that whole A and B thing. We still don't know exactly. I mean, I guess we kind of know what that means. I think with A and B, I think B is somebody who hasn't been bitten yet, and then A is somebody who has been bitten. Because remember, she wrote A in that container that Rick was inside when she was going to have Rick be bitten. But then when Rick was injured and was not bitten, she just said, I have a B. So I think maybe A's go to New York and then B's go to the health and welfare center or something like that. So you guys let me know what you think about that. And another thing about Rick is that he is, wherever he goes, he's like a leader and people follow him and respect him, right? Like when he went to Alexandria, a lot of people followed him and respected his leadership. Same thing with the Saviors, like because he was the one who take down he's the one who took down Negan. So stuff like that, you know, like Rick is a good leader. So I feel like even if he goes to the CRM, maybe they would want him to be a pretty big leader there or something like that. You know, maybe they give him a higher position. But again, I'm sure Rick would want to go home, and I don't know if they're going to try to force him to stay or what, but very interested to find out. And hopefully we find out more about, you know, the actual community like we saw outside of our window in the world beyond, because I thought that was really interesting. But I'm going to leave it up there. Let me know all your thoughts and opinions and theories in the comments down below, because there's a lot here. You know, let me know what you think is going on here and what do you think is happening with Rick. But again, I'm going to wrap it up there, so hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like rating. If you are a fan of The Walking Dead, be sure to subscribe for more Walking Dead content like this. And as always, thanks for watching, everybody. Please stay safe, and I'll see you guys soon.